else that's going on?
I do.
Well, not really. He was like me. I was like, hey, like, have you ever tried that before? And they were like, nah, I've never done it. And I was like, you want me to show you how to?
This is Antonio Armstrong Junior, known as AJ. On July 29, 2016, he took the lives of his parents, Dawn and Antonio. Then, he claimed he saw a masked intruder come into his home, even though the home security system was on. AJ claimed a lot of things during the investigation, and for a while, it seemed like he might get away with it. Why did AJ want his parents dead? And why did it take so long to convict him? This is the full story of Antonio Junior Armstrong. AJ's life began in Bel Air, Texas. Bel Air is part of the Houston metropolitan area and is a super desirable upper-class town that is not used to violent crimes. The Armstrongs were picture perfect if you asked their friends and neighbors. Antonio Armstrong had grown up in Houston and studied at Texas A&M with a full scholarship to play football. In the 1990s, Antonio went on to the NFL, where he was a linebacker for the Miami Dolphins. Sadly, after a series of ankle injuries, his NFL career was over. After a few years playing for the Canadian Football League, Antonio and his wife, Dawn, opened first-class training in Bel Air. They would work as personal trainers and motivational speakers.
You to pick back up those visions and those dreams that you once had.
When Antonio met Dawn, she already had a son, Josh, from a previous relationship, but the three of them became a happy family easily, with Josh really looking up to his stepfather, and Antonio discovering he really loved kids. In 2000, the newlywed pair had Antonio Jr., known to all as AJ. 4 years later, Kayra was born. By the time AJ and Kayra were in school, Josh was old enough to leave for college, so it was just the four Armstrongs. Everyone knew them as a team. AJ was an avid sportsman known as Big Man on campus. The family followed him at all important events and supported him in his sports career. Dawn and Antonio were just as united. Even after 2 decades of marriage, Dawn was still gushing over her husband online. This is what she wrote on July 24, 2016.
This guy is my everything. He completes me in every way. He's my best friend. And after almost 2 decades, it's the simple things that make us happy.
5 days later, both of them would be dead. At around 10 p.m. on July 28, 2016, 12-year-old Kayra turned on the home security system for the night. Everyone was going to their bedrooms and turning in. AJ didn't go to bed till after 1 a.m. He was in his loft room on the second floor, texting with his girlfriend. His last text was sent just after 1 o'clock. Half an hour later, he called the emergency services. He'd heard loud noises coming from his own house, and when he checked his parents' bedroom, the door was open, which was unlike them. He was worried about his parents, but he was too scared to go into the room and check on them.
Does it sound like a handgun, rifle, or shotgun?
I'm not good. I'm not out there. I know my dad
AJ's 911 call is mostly inaudible, but among the lines that could be decoded was AJ mumbling to himself, wondering how someone could have made it into his house without sounding the alarm and complaining about a ringing in his ear.
Okay, can you hear anything else that's going on?
I do.
Why would he say it was all his fault? Although the dispatcher found this strange, too, she didn't ask him to elaborate on his statement. 16 minutes into the phone call, AJ turned off the home security system and exited the house with his little sister. The first responders made sure there wasn't an intruder still present in the home. Then, they gave their clear, and the paramedics ran upstairs to check on Dawn and Antonio. The attacker had fired into their heads with the pillows covering their faces. Dawn was pronounced dead at the scene. Shockingly, Antonio was still struggling to breathe. It's hard to imagine the last hours of agony he went through while fighting to survive and wondering what had happened and why. He died in the hospital that night. In the kitchen, the detectives found drawers hanging open, but no valuables were missing. It looked as though someone was looking for something. On the kitchen counter, there was a gun and a note. The note was pretty disturbing.
I've been watching you for some time. Get me?
The gun was identified as Antonio's gun, which, as AJ stated, was usually kept in the drawer of his bedside table, so the attacker knew where he kept his gun. Also, they'd retrieved it so quietly that the couple didn't even wake up. Antonio and Dawn were sleeping when they were murdered. If it wasn't for the serious home security system, the detectives might have thought twice, but to the officers at the scene, the situation was quite clear. No one could have broken into the home without setting off the alarm. The only possible suspects were AJ and Kayra. However, little Kayra was never treated as a suspect. AJ was heard on the phone waking up his little sister and urging her to get out of the house. So, only AJ was arrested that night. Heartbreakingly, there are many cases of teens and young adults killing their parents over issues like control, abuse, and, well, hefty life insurance. Yep, kids can be just as callous as adults. So on the morning of July 29th, 2016, AJ was interrogated, and the investigators wanted to understand his relationship with his parents.
You get along with your mom, get along with dad, no problems, no
Me and Dad were
issues.
like really close. And then me and my mom, like me, my brother, and my sister, like had our like little issues with my mom, but it was never anything like serious. Like
AJ denied having issues with Dawn, but the investigators noted something concerning. AJ had just lost both his parents to murder, yet there was no emotion in his voice. The detectives knew they had to press AJ for more family information.
And you have an older brother that doesn't live there?
no, he's not. He just moved. He was going to Berlin, and he just moved back like 3 weeks ago. He's going to the Art Institute now.
AJ explained that Josh now lived a short walking distance from the other Armstrongs.
Now, how is his relationship with everybody in the family?
He's really, like, me, him, and my dad are, like, a really close group. Like, we sit down and talk a lot. And then him and my mom are, like, identical people. Like, their personalities are the same, so they're close.
The detectives had seen Josh that night. Right after calling 911, AJ called his older brother and told him to come to the crime scene. Josh lived a few minutes away, so he came quickly. The detectives noted that the brothers were close and were wondering if maybe the two were hiding something dark. But the investigators couldn't ask that straight away. They had to know if the brothers were indeed close.
And then me and him were just, like, have a really close brother relationship. And then my little sister, like, loves him.
Then there was the issue of the shell casings found inside the home. Some casings were found in the master bedroom, while others were in AJ's.
Do you know what kind of gun it is?
I just know it's like a pistol. I think it's a 22, but I'm not like 100% positive. Like only time I've ever like used it was when we went to the gun range when I was like 8 years old or something like that. But like that's about it. I know he has his case in one of his drawers, and like my dad, his drawers, the closet, and under the bed is like off limits. So I've never gone in there or like seen it or anything like that, except for when he brings it out.
It really seemed like AJ was feigning ignorance more than anything. The forensics team had literally found a bullet hole going from AJ's bedroom floor into his parents' bedroom ceiling. There were also holes in a pillow and blanket in his room. When AJ was confronted about it, he said something like, "Fine, you got me. I was playing around with Dad's 22 with a friend."
It was like maybe 3 weeks ago. Like me and one of my friends was just like playing around, and they were about to leave, and he was like, "Hey, well, not really he was like me, I was like, hey, like, have you ever tried that before?" And they were like, "Nah, I've never done it." And I was like, "You want me to show you how to?"
Wait a minute, didn't he say he'd only fired a gun at a shooting range when he was 8?
And like, I like went and checked in 3 places, and the gun was on my dad's bed, and I like laid I laid my pillow, and then like a blanket over it, a blanket under it, thinking like that would stop it, but I guess it did not stop it.
But this wasn't the end of AJ's lies. He claimed this had happened a few weeks before, but there were bits of the ceiling from the holes in his parents' bedroom. There was no way they wouldn't have noticed or cleaned those for 2 or 3 weeks. There was also a bit of carpet on the first floor that appeared to have been burnt. According to the forensics team, it seemed like someone had poured a bit of gasoline and attempted to light the area with a single match. When AJ was asked about this, he claimed he had no idea what had happened there. It all looked very strange. But here's a plot twist. After spending 8 months in juvenile jail, Antonio Junior was released on a $200,000 bond. AJ's defense was pretty strong. First off, he didn't have gunpowder residue anywhere on him on the night of the murder. None of his parents' DNA was found on him either. It didn't appear like he changed his clothing before calling 911. There were no cleaning products in sight either, so either he didn't clean himself up, or if he did, he was extremely savvy about it. During his first trial, AJ's interrogation was played. In it, He said he saw a masked man enter his house.
That's when I came down and I like kind of looked, because you know how like it has the little, it goes down, like you can peek real quick and see like what's like going on from my stairs. And when I saw someone like coming out, so I just took off back upstairs and went straight to my closet, and that's when I called.
However, this was never verified, and the detectives couldn't gather any suspects that would have the motive to kill the Armstrongs. Kara stood by her brother's side and even testified that the home security system can be faulty.
For one thing, the home's alarm system was faulty, or finicky, as Kara referred to it, saying it would malfunction at times. Kara also testified friends, family, a lot of people had key code access to the house by way of a garage door.
Kara also hinted that Josh might be the intruder, Dawn's first son. She claimed Josh had moved back into the neighborhood about 3 weeks before the incident, and he seemed more distant and strange. But then there was something else. Remember how AJ was texting his girlfriend just before Dawn and Antonio were murdered?
They texted because she says AJ was trying to quash a rumor about her another boy started. But when prosecutors had their chance, they tried to prove AJ was lying to her, and that set a new tone.
The prosecution wanted Kate to admit that she knew there were problems between AJ and his parents. Kate kept saying she didn't remember, but the prosecution kept pulling files and files of texts between the two, where AJ was complaining and cussing at his parents.
They pointed out how, in one exchange, Kate was upset AJ was selling and smoking too much pot. Another exchange from when AJ was in juvie jail. Kate was upset AJ lied to her about the reason he was kicked out of Kincaid. Quote, "I feel like you lie to me all the time."
It gets even worse. In the courtroom, several messages between AJ and his mother were revealed. Both Dawn and Antonio expressed their anger at how AJ was lying to them about his grades and school performance and called him a disappointment. This is a text Antonio sent his son on April 2016.
"I'm sick of getting reports about silly crap you are doing. Keep screwing up and doing silly things like speed through the park. I'm trading your car in for one that matches your maturity. Last morning."
In June, Dawn wrote to him,
"We gave you all and the best we had. We wanted the best for you. We provided the best education, bought you a great car to celebrate you. We tried to be open with you, and what was important to you and all you do is lie to us, scheme behind our backs."
Antonio was also upset that he'd paid thousands of dollars for AJ's tutors, but he continued to flunk school, sell narcotics, and put his and others' lives in danger with his new car. He responded to their text,
"I'm not even going to try and say sorry for everything because right now I know my word doesn't mean anything to you guys. I put myself in the absolute worst possible position with not only school but with the way you guys think about me. I know that I have gone to another level with my actions and know I need a major life change right now."
In another text, AJ wrote to Kate that he didn't respond to her as he was playing with matches and accidentally set the carpet on fire. Oops. The prosecution painted AJ as a bold-faced liar, in Dawn's words. He was a compulsive liar and an ungrateful son, and he wanted the freedom he felt he didn't have anymore. The defense, on the other hand, said AJ was an innocent teenager, albeit immature. He would never hurt his parents. His entire family stood by his side except for Josh, who was upset AJ was trying to throw him under the bus. There was a mistrial in 2019 and another one in 2022. Jurors just couldn't seem to decide whether there could have been an intruder breaking into the house or this is a figment of AJ's imagination. But in 2023, there was a verdict.
For AJ Armstrong, found guilty, convicted of murder just a few hours ago.
He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 40 years. He would be 63 if released. Indeed, AJ's defense team could not prove his intruder theory, and his supportive family's testimonies kept changing until they were not believable. At last, there's justice for Dawn and Antonio. But there are a few things as heartbreaking as losing your life at the hands of an ungrateful, rebellious child. Hey, thanks for watching. What do you think about this case? Leave a comment, and before you go, make sure you like and subscribe. See you next time.